Yep. Hey, Dave Cribbs here. It's Under Contract. We're live. It's Wednesday. It's 3 o'clock, which only means one thing. We're here to connect the dots in real estate. We do it every week right here on Facebook Live at 3 o'clock. Today is no different. And we do that by bringing you world-class guests. And today we have on the show with us, and we'll bring her on in just a few minutes. But we have Dr. Lisa Marie Kennedy. She is the author of Selling the $1 Million Model, and that's really what we're talking about today, is getting your money right in real estate. Where is the money, right? Show me the money. Look, it's 2017 and we are in the heyday. If you don't know it, look around, because right now we know that these selling cycles, they go in waves, and we're at the top of the wave right now. So think about the fact that you are in the heyday, and if you're not getting a payday right now while we're in the heyday, then something's wrong. So we're going to talk about how critical today it is to choose the right path as a realtor, because we all know that there's some options out there that we have to look at and figure out as to what we're going to do, what our role will be in real estate, if you will. So before we get started, I also want to share with you, look, like, share, engage in the show today, ask questions, call in. You can call in to our show. If we have the opportunity, we'll get you on the line to ask your question to either myself or Dr. Lisa Marie Kennedy. Our number is 813-574-1820. That's 813-574-1820, and you can call into the show. And like I said, if our producers can get you on, we will definitely try to do that. So another thing that's up for grabs, by the way, and I put this out on Facebook, I've tweeted it out, is that 2017 Corvette. It's given away every year right here locally by Unity in the community. So all going for a great cause, and I have secured tickets for our listeners, and you can get one of those tickets. We choose a couple of winners every single week, and we look at those who are engaging the most on the show. So like it, share it, ask questions, engage in the show. And so let's talk about that for a minute. You know, obviously we're broadcasting out of Tampa, Florida. So in Florida, when you go to real estate school and you get your real estate license, once you graduate real estate school and you want to practice real estate, you kind of have to make a decision as to where you're going to go, right? And sometimes I think that realtors make this very hastily without really researching all of the options. You know, are you going to go to work in new construction and work for a new builder? Are you going to sell $200,000 homes? Are you going to go maybe and sell $1 million homes, which we'll hear Lisa talk about here in just a few minutes? Or are you going to go into general real estate? And if so, are you going to try to do that mostly on your own under a broker who may not have that type of 100% attention on you and helping you train and get ready and work as a team? Or do you go into an environment where there is a big team where you can get support and maybe pick up a specific role within real estate? So those are the things we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about where the money's at in those things. So before we do that, though, it is time for us to pay a couple bills. So I want to go to our commercials, and I want to thank our sponsors, RMT Media and Serial Sales Pro. We'll be right back. You're watching Under Contract.
I have been using Serial Sales Pro for a little more than 2 years now.
I highly recommend it to anybody who's either just getting in sales. I don't care if you've been in sales 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are.
The shorter videos allows me to keep my concentration and also gives me more of a chance to actually apply that knowledge.
I've learned how to close deals better and be more effective in my communication with these customers.
You know, I think what Serial Sales Pro does for me, it just keeps me sharp, keeps my edge sharp.
My income has literally tripled in the last 3 years.
This year, I'm already slated to make about 50 grand more than I made last year.
I've doubled my income from what I made last year.
It's definitely increased my income, and a lot of that came from what I learned right from Serial Sales Pro.
It's really turned my whole sales career around.
It keeps me ready to get to the next level.
So if you're not plugged in to it, get involved right away.
Hi, I'm Robbie with RMT Media. I specialize in video production for real estate. Let's face it, in today's market, video is the new curb appeal. Even if somebody drives by your listing, the first thing they're going to do is pull their phone out, take a look at that property online. Whether you're selling a $200,000 home in Central Florida, or a multi-million-dollar estate in Palm Beach, Florida, or San Francisco, California, or maybe you need some aerial footage for a site acquisition, email me today and let's get started. Robbie at rmtmedia.net.
Hey, welcome back to Under Contract. We're right here at Facebook Live, connecting the dots in real estate and specifically talking about today where the money's at, right? Which path do we choose as a realtor or real estate agent once we get our license? And by the way, it's not just for those who are thinking about becoming a realtor or just new to real estate. That's a great thing. But also those veterans, right, that are out there that, you know, as we just opened up with, it's the heyday, right? So if you're not having a payday in the heyday, there might be something wrong. You're probably already feeling it. So if you're doing your part, if you feel like you're living up to your responsibilities in your role in real estate, but you're not receiving that payday, it might be time to look at some other options. So we're going to talk about that with our special guest today, Dr. Lisa Marie Kennedy with Keller Williams. She's the author of the book Selling the $1 Million Home, and she's been in a couple different roles in real estate, and we're going to go to her right now. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, David.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, first of all, I read your book. Great book, easy read. I recommend it to everyone. We'll talk about how to get that later on the show. In fact, I might give away some copies. But here's the thing, you know, let's talk a moment about really how important it is, because as we opened up with, you know, and I'm assuming it's similar in most states, but I know obviously here in Florida, once you get your real estate license, you have to kind of choose how, you know, what role you're going to play in real estate, where you're going to go. You know, we have to go under either a broker, a builder, commercial property management, things like that. So let's begin to talk about that, and maybe let's start with, and we'll start with, you know, simply because of your book, $1 Million Model. Let's talk for a moment about your experience selling a $1 million model and what that looks like. And is it possible for anyone to get started in that, or do you have to build your way up? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. You certainly, I think, have to start with the foundation. My background is medical sales. So when I transitioned into the real estate market, at least I knew how to sell, right? I may not have known the market, but I knew how to sell. I knew how to connect with people authentically. And quite frankly, you know, I'm a people person, so I really have the ability to learn. So I was willing to learn. I was willing to learn the business, and I was willing to lay down that foundation of, you know, developing even more relationships, because everyone needs a house.
Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, I talked about the fact that, you know, do you choose new construction? Do you choose going to work under a broker that maybe has a lot of training resources available to you, maybe a team atmosphere? But going back to new construction, you know, as some of the viewers know, many of the viewers know, that's what I do. I sell new construction out of a model home, but I'm in that sort of average price range for our, you know, our city here. I'm in that $200,000 to $300,000 price range. So the question would be, and I can share a little bit of what that might look like as far as income or pay setup or strategy, but you know, I guess my question is, if I'm selling that $200,000 to $300,000 home and I'm doing fairly well, consistent business, if I were thinking about Because I think logically, if you're selling a $200,000 home, you think, well, maybe I could graduate to that $1 million home and make a lot more money. But in thinking about that, my question is that really the case? Obviously, there's a bigger commission, but maybe it's not as frequent as selling a home every week in a $200,000 or $300,000 range. What do you say to that?
You're absolutely right. It's definitely not as frequent. The sales cycle is definitely longer as well, because I think in my market, there's less of a turnover in the $1 million plus range. I mean, you're talking about the demographic of people that have been saving their whole lives, and this a lot of times is their final home. So they've saved, it's their retirement account, and it's going to be a place for them, for their children and grandchildren to come for the rest of their living lives, 20, 30 years, whatever it might be. And what better place to do that than in Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you watching, we're actually, Lisa is right down the road here in the Sarasota Bradenton area. So you're like I could throw a rock almost and hit you. Well, I can't throw it that far, I got to admit, but you're about 45 minutes south of us. So let's go back to this choice we have when it comes to sort of the realistic idea of the type of money that can be made in these different roles. So, for example, I'm so fortunate because, number one, I'm in Tampa, right? And number two, I'm in Hillsborough County. I'm in southern Hillsborough County, which is experiencing a big boom. And I work for a great builder. And so and I have a great community, and I'm in a price point where there's a lot of demand. So I have all these pieces that kind of came together that help me. I'd love to take credit for the success I had this year, and I'll take a little, but, I think that choosing that place was so important, and I think that is something that realtors need to really research and consider before they just jump on board with someone. Give some advice when it comes to that, Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, I think, let's face it, there are so many savvy buyers out there right now with the internet and everything that they can do on the internet. A lot of times they'll already know what they want. I imagine you experience the same thing, David. They're very educated buyers, and when it comes to higher price points, they're even more educated. And that's one thing that you really cannot let intimidate you, and you really have to know your stuff. I learned something every single day that I was with the luxury home builder. I was with them for 3 years, and every day was something new. And a lot of times buyers would teach me things because every situation is different. Every custom home is different. So, it's when you start really listening to your buyers, you can really learn a lot from their needs and their wants, and really trying to dig out, what they're really trying to achieve, really trying to get the motivation for the move, the emotions. They don't want they already have a house, you know what I'm saying? So they're a lot of times they're moving from somewhere else, so they don't need a roof over their head. They're looking for that emotion. What's it going to feel like when their family can come down and celebrate holidays in Florida with no snow? That's what you're digging for when you're asking those important questions.
Right, and I think it's important that you bring that out because we talked a little bit about that a few weeks back when John Wilshire was on the program, and what he figured out was, hey, I've got to be a salesman first. I've got to get the sales skills down, and in that, just what you talked about, being able to recognize what's really needed to connect with a customer, not so much the home. I've had to, in working where I work in a model home, when people come in, they want to go right in, take a look at the model home. They want to rush in, and you have to have the ability to kind of accommodate them, but at the same time kind of lay the home aside for a minute and start talking about some other things. And also kind of, I found one thing that helps me is to kind of not use words or language, at least initially, that have anything to do with buying a home. For me, it's because you've got to kind of get them thinking, like, you want them to stay there for a while. You don't want them to be gone in 5 minutes because they felt the pressure coming on as soon as they walked in the door, right? We don't even have the right to do that at that point. So I think that...
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I think that's real important that obviously that's part of your success and having that sales background, just like me switching careers after quite a number of years. But so let's go back to the fact that now you are with Keller Williams, and I know a little bit about Keller Williams, but I've obviously never been in the general real estate side. But correct me if I'm wrong, but the Keller Williams kind of setup, if you will, is a business model based on really working with a team. Am I correct on that?
In some cases, yes. Not necessarily, but if I could rephrase that in the way that there's a term for it. I can't think of it right now, but it's sort of like open education, to where there's any agent in the office that's willing to help you with anything at all times. And a lot of the training programs are actually held from the seasoned agents there. So it's more of a family. You can join different teams if you want to. I think the number one reason why someone should join a team is if they want a rainmaker. So it leads, in other words.
Right.
So if you're just starting out, if you're starting from nothing, that would be a good opportunity to join a team, which is what I did when I first got into real estate. I only did it for 6 months, but it gave me a little bit more of a foundation, because at least I had some leads to work. I wasn't out there blind, like you talked about in the beginning of the show. It's like, okay, I have my real estate license. What do I do now?
Right. And, and this kind of, I don't know if I'm being fair by calling it a team concept, but this type of environment where you have, seasoned people who are pouring into others one way or another, whether it's a team or not, and having this openness about participation in training and making it available, supporting, giving leads. Not only are you getting the training and the leads, but isn't it, I would imagine it's invaluable to be able to actually not only watch others who are actually doing it in real time, but also feed off of that enthusiasm, and instead of being all alone. Does that make sense?
You hit it definitely on the head with that, because we actually have a training room at Keller Williams where it's lead generation every single day from 9 to 11:30. So when you're listening to the scripts of other real estate agents, you literally learn something every day, or you pick up on something and you go, you know what, that sounded really good, even though, he may not have gone by the script, because, by the way, there are scripts and role play in real estate. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but that really is one of the 5 components of real estate, right? You got your lead generation, your lead follow-up, your contract negotiation, showing homes, which a lot of folks think, that's really what it's all about. And then you have your script and role play. So that's the 5 things that Gary Keller says that are the key components of real estate.
Yeah. Now, if you're a new agent, or you're an agent that maybe is with a broker who, and again, I hope I'm being fair in saying this as well. I'm guessing that some agents will go to work underneath a broker's license who maybe don't offer much support, but maybe they receive a little higher percentage of the the commission in lieu of the lack of support. Does that make sense? Is that out there?
Yeah, if I understand you correctly. So if you join a team at Keller Williams, they take a certain percentage off the top. But then if you're on a team, again, with that rainmaker who's providing leads or experience or mentorship, then you get another portion to that team. So yes, I think it's the answer to your question, if you actually join a team. But, if you're on your own like I am right now, you would just give a portion to Keller Williams.
Gotcha. And now, when you're a part of a team, how as an agent, how much pressure is on you to participate in these activities that go on there each day in the office?
I think it varies. There's so many teams that work differently. There's a lot of teams that have built their business based on referrals alone. There's a lot of teams that really just focus on for sale by owners or expired listings, open houses, or just strictly buyers agents or strictly listings. So the opportunity is there for anyone to learn. And that's why I chose to go back to that particular office, because it's a learning environment. And I'm big on self-development, and you can never know too much. And I think that you're always, surround yourself with people that know more than you, for sure. Like they say, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right. No, I agree with that 100%, and I can assure you I've never been in that room. The next thing that I wanted to cover, though, I did kind of promise myself that I would share with viewers a realistic idea of what maybe they could make in new construction based on what I know, and that's just here in the Tampa Bay area. But I always fall back on the fact that, hey, this is a booming area, right? But I feel like if you are in new construction, it's not that difficult in the Tampa Bay area to find some great builders, and it's definitely a six-figure opportunity. I would say that most of the new home builders typically offer a salary plus a very small percentage of commission, and you do get the benefits of being an employee. So oftentimes you'll get health benefits and things like that, which I have, but the point to that is, and the point to that is, though, you also have to research the builder, make sure you're a fit, and go, out and try to obtain that job. So, for example, and the downside, of course, we work a lot of weekends, right? Every weekend. But but the good news is there's a great opportunity there. And I think oftentimes, real estate agents may look at new home sales and go, well, wait a second. Their website said you need experience of new home sales or this or that. But I'm a big believer in they're always going to hire the right person that shows up at their doorstep. So talk maybe a little bit about that, Lisa. And I think you were pretty aggressive in doing that in landing the job selling $1 million homes, right?
Yeah. I actually got. I go to a lot of networking events and still do. I think it's important that people know who you are. We all learned that from Grant Cardone. You got to get attention and get out there. If people don't know who you are, they're not going to buy from you. So I learned that, and I think you're right. You have to decide, and there's a chapter in my book. It's actually chapter 2. After you prepare, right, in deciding that you're going to do real estate, you have to decide and drill down, like, what kind of real estate do I want to do? And if it is new home construction, what price point is that? What's important as far as, like, do they have a design center, or are they just throwing homes up, in communities, and the client doesn't get a choice of anything? Is it strictly spec homes? You really have to identify what environment you're going to feel comfortable in, because the higher price point you get, the more complex the process gets.
Yeah, I could imagine so. And I'm one of those people that want to experience it all. So I would love to have that opportunity, but at the same time, it's not really in my plan. Like, I don't think it's practical sometimes to just experience it all. Otherwise, you'd just be everywhere. But it's fascinating to think about. Having that under your belt, selling the $1 million, $2 million home, that's fascinating. But, let's get back to an opportunity here. I think oftentimes, and, we are broadcasting, by the way, well, I guess technically all over the world, but I get a big following in other states other than Florida, all over the U.S., and realtors are reaching out saying, hey, how are you doing what you're doing? Or, hey, I'm only doing this. What do I need to do? And one of the things I would say is consider moving. Consider moving. Yeah. I mean, because I look around the U.S. and, you think about markets like Tampa and, Austin and San Antonio and Phoenix and Raleigh and Charlotte and all these places that are just booming in new sales. And, I think that it's really something that someone should think about moving, because maybe they're doing okay in their town. They might even be doing well considering where they're at. Maybe they're making $60,000, $70,000 a year, but they might be the type of person or salesperson, if they're experiencing that success, they could double that just by making a physical move. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you got to look at what is the job market doing. Are there new companies that are setting up shop in certain cities? I know that Apple just opened or is about to open an office like close to Phoenix, Arizona, I believe. So that alone, that housing market is going to boom just because of that. So you have to look at the job trends as well. So that's a great point. Versus someone that, is in a very small town. Like, I came from a small town of 20,000 in South Portland, Maine. I don't necessarily think I'd be sitting here today talking to you if I had stayed in that town. So I left when I turned 21 because I felt like there was more opportunity elsewhere.
Yep, I think that's a big thing, and I think sometimes it doesn't even cross people's mind. But when you start thinking about it, it starts to kind of make sense for some people anyway. I know sometimes it's not very feasible, but let's go back to this. Let's talk about, and we're going to wrap it up here, but let's talk about your personal goals. What's next for Lisa, and kind of where you're heading, and then obviously how people can connect with you and reach you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm big on goals. I write my goals down every day. I have a gratitude journal that I work in. So my goal for 2017 is to generate $20 million in real estate.
Come on, girl.
So, you know, and it's a high goal. I'll admit it's a high goal. But that being said, you know, it's a case-by-case basis, you know. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for someone in their first year of real estate, but that's what my goal is. And I know I'm going to have to sell a lot of homes in general real estate at Keller Williams versus selling, you know, $1 million homes. My highest sale was $2 million 2 years ago, but I'm hoping I have that $5 million sale this year.
All right. Well, that's great. So how do people reach out to you? Obviously, we have your Twitter up on screen right now, and we'll talk about your book here in just a second. But is there another way that people can reach you? Probably Facebook, right?
Yeah, Facebook, Lisa Marie Kennedy. You know, if someone wanted to email me with some questions, I'm happy to help. I love giving back. So Lisa Marie Kennedy, SRQ, which stands for Sarasota, and that's at gmail.com. Shoot me your questions. I'd love to help you.
Okay, awesome. Well, Lisa, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give away 2 of your books today, but I'm going to ask you this: if I get them directly from you, can you get them signed for the people who win them?
Yes, I'm actually ordering more today, so I'm going to have a stack in a few days that I'm signing. So I would love to do that for your audience and listeners.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Well, thanks for being on Under Contract. It was a great conversation. It flew by. We got a million more things we could talk about, I know, and I'd love to, but maybe we can get you back on the show another time.
I would love that. Thank you so much for the opportunity, David.
Absolutely. Lisa, thank you. That was Dr. Lisa. Thank you. That was Dr. Lisa Marie Kennedy. Make sure you check out her book, Selling the $1 Million Home. For those of you who are engaging in the show, we'll give away a couple of these as well. And you heard it, Lisa's going to sign these for you. Great book. So yeah, I think the next thing really here is the takeaway. You know, what I took away from Lisa, you know, I think as we go through that, you know, she kind of reiterated the point that, you know, wherever you're at in real estate, make sure that you do your research in order to figure out where that best opportunity is going to be. Maybe that involves a move, maybe it doesn't, but it definitely involves where you're going to hang your hat, right? So make sure that you are researching all the opportunities that we covered today on the show, as well as you're more than welcome to reach out to me if there's anything I can do for you. If I don't have the answer, certainly put you in contact with someone who does. We've got great experts in every area that are tuned into the show. And now I want to announce the Realtor of the Week. You know, I'm real excited about the Realtor of the Week this week because every week we feature a Realtor of the Week. And how we choose that Realtor is by, you know, things that I see, the active engagement either online or out in the community. And so far in the previous episodes, it has been a Realtor that has been in a different state or a different area. But I'm really excited to announce this week's winner. My little sign just fell down. We're live. So I'm really excited to announce this week's winner. It's a local Realtor, and his name is Chris C. Jones. That's Chris C. Jones, and he's otherwise known as the House Hunter. Now, the cool thing is, you know, I see Chris riding around, and Chris has been out to the community. I've met him before. Don't really know him that well, but I have met him. But I see him riding around in his wrapped up Hummer, right? He's got this big Hummer he drives around, so you can't miss him. And I'm in a fairly big area, but you can't miss Chris when you see that Hummer. It's wrapped up with the Crocodile Dundee type of logo, and it's got Chris the House Hunter. And you can find Chris the House Hunter at thehomehuntersgroup.com. And I may have to correct myself. It might actually say Chris the Home Hunter on his wrap. I think it does. But so we'll give Chris credit there. Hey, look, Chris, how come I don't have... Guys, how come I don't have a Hummer to roll around in that's wrapped? Chris must be doing something I'm not doing, right? Anyway, I'm coming after you, Chris. No, hey, great job, Chris. Great branding message. Great way to stand out. That's why you are the Realtor of the Week. So let's talk about, real quickly, a couple of upcoming shows. Once again, with world-class guests. Next week, we won't disappoint you either, because next week, we're going to have Juan Pablo, right? Juan Pablo. What a name, right? Doesn't that just sound like, I'm Juan Pablo, right? Just, he's got to be a ladies' man, right? But seriously, we have Juan Pablo. What's cool about Juan is he had a goal to become an investor and start buying, selling, flipping houses. And he started out very modestly, and now he owns, I think it's either 63 or 68 multifamily units that he rents out, and now he teaches others how to do that. He's giving back. He's got I have seen a stack, by the way, of his cards of hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are those lenders that will give you money with no credit, no money, no nothing, just a good deal, right? A good investment. They'll stand behind you and bring up the money part. So I think that's huge. We'll learn a lot from Juan Pablo next week. And then we have the week, I'm not sure if it's going to be the week after or the following week. We're still trying to nail down the dates, but we've got a celebrity from the car business. Her name is Elise Kephart. She pioneered video messaging in the car business. That's huge in real estate right now. She's going to drop a bomb, or a bomb, should I say, because she is an advocate for bomb video capability as well. You'll learn about that, and you'll learn, by the way, you'll learn some things from Elise that day. I promise you, she delivers. That's why she's become celebrity in the car business. And then the week after, we've got Greg Walker from Homebridge, one of America's top lenders, and we've got Teresa Da Silva will be joining the show shortly. She is a professional home stager. We'll talk about the importance, why to stage a home when you're listing it. We'll talk about that as well. And that is pretty much it. I want to thank our sponsors again, RMT Media and Serial Sales Pro. And this was an IPD production. And I'm out. #boom.